I think there's two things. One is the fact that misinformation means very different things for broader audiences than it does when we look at it from sort of the scientific prism of it or the definition of it. I think for many people, misinformation could be sort of partisan content. It could be something that they see as information they don't agree with. But the worrying part is for many of the audiences that we track, particularly on social media platforms like TikTok, close to 30% say they struggle to identify what misinformation is, and they struggle to know the difference between what could be misinformation versus what isn't. The solution to that quickly, which is the other big takeaway, is that the best way to resolve this is to really go back and do the deep work with audiences. Listen to what their needs are, listen to what sort of value they need met, and then meet them where they are in terms of news reportage. I think the first thing to sort of identify and accept is misinformation didn't appear with the advent of social media. It's been in our communities and within us and amongst us for forever now. What it often does is reflects the schisms that are existing within society and the kind of divides that we have, whether they are along lines of race or gender or community or color. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I think with the advent of AI, which is a relatively new technology, it tends to come with a bit of moral panic about what the impact might be. Up until now, from what we have been processing, it is certainly increasing the frequency of information that could be available. It doesn't necessarily have to be very high quality, but I think it remains to be seen whether there's actually increased appetite for misinformation just because there's increased availability. They tend to hit the same bottlenecks, which is that it is a smaller subset that is accessing this misinformation, because frankly, for most countries, and we track 48 of them across the world, a large population does not engage with the news, period. So, they don't come across misinformation, whether it's in the form of AI or synthetic audio or anything else. So I think the first part is thinking about what the role or value of independent journalism is in countries, or at least in democratic societies that many of us belong to. Identifying that value means that there should be an effort to defend it, whether that is governments that are looking to set up editorial moats for news organizations to report freely and fairly, whether that means a hands-off approach and not sort of slapping on either litigation or other threats on journalism that tends to be critical. So I think that's the role of governments, to sort of consider what the value of journalism is. The second part of your question was around the weaponization of either policy or law, and I think we're seeing examples of that. I mean, at this point in time, where we're speaking at the Global Soft Power Summit in 2025, I think things have reached a bit of a peak chaos moment in the US. But honestly, if you were to look back at the last 10 years, there are many other countries that hold up similar examples. India, the Philippines, parts of Latin America, many have lived through this process already. And for many governments there, this has been used as a tool. So you sort of supposedly or purportedly attack misinformation, but what you're doing is clamping down anything that may seem critical. You make the process of proving that this is not misinformation so onerous, and you also build in state-backed authorities to amplify that it becomes really dangerous and restrictive for critical media. I think more and more it's important to come together and think about solutions. It might feel quite trite, but that's probably our best case scenario. In a landscape where things are shape-shifting so quickly, we have to find a space to talk, we have to find a space to disagree, and we have to find a space to double down on what we believe, if we do, are critical elements for free and fair societies. Really enjoyed hearing previous speakers. There was the presentation of the Soft Power Index itself that sort of pointed to not whinging and looking for solutions, which is always a good idea. We also heard from the former Polish president, and I think it's really important when you see people with that amount of sort of institutional and lived history, where you can look at what's happened at points in time and perhaps feel a bit better and feel a bit more optimistic. And it was a really enriching panel. So much to learn from countries like Estonia that have gone the extra mile to work with their citizenry, and what the media can do at this point to both sort of reinvent itself and to work harder to win back the trust of audiences.